Hi everybody. I wanted to talk about the Sekhem healings I do. I hope you're having a great day. And if you stay with me till the end, I'll share my story of how I even got into this weird energy healing system that very few people have heard of. And it's really not weird. It's just, it's more obscure. It's something that was done, in the mystery school times, in the times of great healers, and it's returned now for our ascension. As the planet ascends, the humans can ascend, and so I was told that this energy is coming back into the awareness of beings for assisting us in getting to a higher level of consciousness. And so higher level of consciousness means you see more clearly, you're aware of more, and that can be painful too, because once you're aware of something, you got to deal with how that makes you feel. And then usually there's anger or whatever, and then we learn to adjust and find the balance with it, which isn't always easy, but there's help. There's help from our guides, and there's help in the form of healers like myself. And I call myself a healer because that's what we all are. And that's what I dedicated my life to do, to heal myself, because I felt I was broken most of my life. And then I even went into the healing profession in the form of studying psychology. And prior to that, I studied metaphysics, tarot cards, any book I could get my hands on. And so Sekhem is an ancient Egyptian healing art, similar to Reiki. It works through the soul chakra, which is about 12 inches above your head, and also the earth chakra, which is 12 inches below the feet. And so you're connecting to the soul, which is soul chakra is similar to the Akashic records. So everything we've experienced in every lifetime is accessed in that place. Earth chakra is the grounding energy, our connection to the earth. And so it'd be more specific to the earth energies and the earth elemental aspects and archetypes. And that's how a lot of these energies are experienced with Sekhem and the Egyptian Neteru, is that they are a field of energy from the cosmos, basically, our star brothers and sisters. And they can be experienced in various ways, like I was describing earlier, with Sekhmet also being Hathor and also being Bastet. And there's aspects of, there's other aspects that, the Neteru shift into. A lot of it is interchangeable, and that's similar to our lives, is how we can be in this present form, and yet we had other lifetimes where we were in different forms and different knowledge and different experiences and things we did. And I've glimpsed a lot of those lifetimes personally, and I've experienced what it's like between lifetimes and what happens when I die. I don't know about everyone else, but I know what happens when I've died. And the best way to describe it and why I don't fear death, I mean, obviously I don't want to die, and I don't want to like suffer and all that, because that would suck. But I don't really fear death. I mean, there's a part of me in my mind that kind of gets to that place, and it'll get a little scary, but I'm like, oh yeah, wait a minute, yeah, that's nothing to fear. But there is that instinctual survival mechanism that's like, whoa, you should be afraid, you need to be afraid, and that's healthy. It's just when that takes the wheel that it's not. But for me, when I died, it was almost like you're looking all around your house, like, where are my glasses? Where are my glasses? Where are my glasses? And then you like find them on top of your head, and you're like, oh my God, there are my glasses. I was looking all, there they are, it's so simple. And that's like what happens. What I experienced when I died is I saw that life I was living very simply and how it connected to all the other lives. And I saw what I was missing, and I saw how great or how beautiful or how amazing things were around me. And I couldn't see it while I was alive fully. And so that's something I always try to remember. And that's what I want to help people remember. And that's what the Sekhem healings do, is you're not just healing the physical ailments or the mental, emotional aspects, which it can do that for sure. People have experienced those shifts, but really at the end of the day, it's creating a higher level of consciousness and expanded perception and a field of energy around the person where their life starts to change. They start to notice things and interact with the world differently. And that's really what we need to overcome many of our obstacles, because someone can come to a healing and they don't feel any better. But then the next day, you know, because they don't feel good, and they're like, I'm going to look into like what I could be eating to help my gut, you know, help my stomach feel better. And so they discover, oh, okay, wait, maybe if I don't eat dairy, I'll try no dairy for a week and see what happens. And it sends us on this path. So to like heal somebody and not allow them to go on that path would, you know, be detrimental to their, well, not detrimental, just like slow their development. And that's why, you know, calling myself a healer or saying I do healings can piss a lot of people off, because some people you can't heal, because to heal them is to minimize their journey and what they are here to experience. And then other people, yeah, it just disappears because they're ready to let go of it, you know, or there was something they didn't see clearly and it's gone. So it's important to remember that we're all healers, and the more we remember and the more we tune in, the more we can start to find solutions. And it sends us down this wonderful path of like pain, but also like excitement and curiosity that is the healing in itself. Even if that thing never heals, when we die, we'll see more clearly, like it will be healed then, you know? So that's the healing aspect. Is a lot of the Sekhem healing is about raising the level of consciousness. Although people have experienced the shift in energy of no longer having stagnant energy and pain in those areas. Relationships shift, like dynamics that were a little shaky or had a friction, had more ease and grace, more fluid flow. There's reports of like connection with spirit guides. Like their guides come through more strongly. Even during the session, like reports of different colors and a different like feeling than they normally have when they would meditate. And so like in this overall feeling of well-being and relaxation, one client said they had these really amazing dreams that night, you know, where they were able to get more answers. And so a lot of this work gets done like a day or two prior to the session, and then a couple days after, the work continues. And it's really, really interesting to me, because I really enjoy, as I do the session, I get impressions, and I can see like sometimes visions from past lives. I get impressions of what, you know, where the energy is and what needs to be removed, or what is there to be beneficial for the person. I'm basically guided and checking in constantly with my guides that what to do. And a lot of it is just, they're like, just, we got this, stay out of the way. And so the first part of the session is just basically hands over the body, channeling this energy, this Sekhem energy, to help shift and elevate consciousness, and also to move the energy through the body. Second part, do a little more like sound healing, some sounds, burn some sage, cedar. There's use of some Egyptian oils from Egypt. They're actually made by a man, Gamal. He's a 5th generational alchemist that lives in Egypt. He's actually a teacher of my teacher, Juliet Corello, that certified me in Sekhem healings. Something that I reached out to her because I was having these experiences with the Egyptian gods, the Neteru. And it was kind of scary at first. I guess I'll get into the story I said I would share. I was doing my morning practice. It's like Qigong and stretching. And I was doing it pretty regularly at the time. I think it was like 3 years ago. And I was living down in Cloley Point, which is awesome. I love living there. And I started to notice like Anubis. You know, I get these impressions of beings or things around me, and it's not always accurate, but this kept showing up like Anubis. He was just standing there, and I never experienced any messages from him. Like I get messages from the other Neteru, and they're really profound, because I know it's not just me saying it in my head or whatever. But he was just there. And that's what's cool about his energy, is he's the enlightened heart shaman. And so he can be in any environment, but he is very much in his energy, no matter what the environment. And he's holding space without succumbing to something and without trying to dominate something. But you feel his presence. And because of a lot of the Western view of death, and it kind of distorted the Egyptians' understanding of what death is, which is actually like waking from the dream. So Anubis is like the way shower, not so much of the underworld, but the inner world. So he's the one that is the path, the way shower, the one that helps guide people on the path, not only at death, but in the inner path. And so he's the one that showed up. And I was kind of neutral about it. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's a little creepy, but okay. And I remember telling somebody, I feel Anubis around. I think I'm gonna get an Anubis statue for my altar. And they're like, I don't know, that might be a bad idea. And I was like, yeah, maybe I won't. And then like another year goes by, and I get a massage from a friend. He's like, hey, Anubis showed up like twice. And so I decided to go a little deeper in this journey, and I got this Shamanic Mysteries of Egypt book, which is really cool. I recommend it. It's like each day you journey with one of the Neteru. You read about the Neteru, you do a little meditation, and then that night you usually have like some dreams and stuff. And so I did that, and there were certain Neteru I had a hard time with, like Bastet and Thoth. And a lot of that is because in a previous group I was in, an Ascension community, we did a lot of studying of basically how these negative grids have been set up on this planet, where people are siphoning energy and drawing power off beings that aren't really awake, or being manipulated, or even drawing power from the earth itself. And so, this is where you get into like the black magic and witchcraft, which is magic that's being used for personal gain, that's forcing something to do something against its will. And so a lot of the Egyptian Neteru and energies have been used in that way in the past. And so Thoth, especially, like his information, he's the enlightened teacher, the scribe, the keeper of knowledge, of vast wisdom, like not only intellectual knowledge, but cosmic knowledge, similar to Ma'at. And so I reached out, I told my friend about this, and she connected me with my teacher, Juliet, that at the time I just needed help understanding what was going on with this fear I had towards them. And because when I read that book, I felt them come right into my body. And I was like, oh man, I don't really like when beings do that. I don't let that happen usually. But with them, I was like, it's okay, we'll see. And it's interesting, like she had me do a little shift in perspective, again, elevating my consciousness away from this old belief system that limits my ability to enjoy life. Like I was talking about earlier with the glasses on my head thing. Like I wasn't seeing something clearly, and so it was minimizing my experience on this planet, where it was actually keeping me from connecting to my guides and my soul family. And I realized that the Neteru will meet whatever energy you bring. And in fact, with me, they tested me at first. They would show up like Heka. Heka is like the father god, the energy of all things. Kind of like if you look at the earth and the horizon, there's like this fuzzy energy, like the energy field. And that's kind of like the Heka energy. It's magic. It's the symbol of the arms raised, and then the spiraling snake, the two snakes. And so it's magic and power and all that stuff. And so when I met him, he was really intense and dark. And I was just like, okay, I'm going to be neutral and just breathe, try to go into this love space, but at least be neutral. And then as I did that, he shifted. And I had a similar experience with Wadjet. Wadjet is the black cobra. Very, very sacred, like the Kundalini energy. So she's the one that's on the top of all the pharaohs, Uraeus's Same with, she's on Sekhmet's as well. Sekhmet and Wadjet are very connected. And so I woke up in the middle of the night and I actually saw this fuzzy black, cobra. And I've seen stuff like that before when I was younger and I was in my darker days of drinking and partying. I would see actually shadow beings and weird crap like that, which actually let me know that God was real. Like if that stuff was showing up, God's real. And a lot of it was like having to choose the light and letting go of negativity. So Wadjet showed up, this black cobra, right like this far from me as I was sleeping. And I'm just looking, okay, it's like, okay, just breathe, get neutral, relax. And then she shape-shifted into either Bastet or Sekhmet. I think it was Sekhmet. And I was like, oh, okay. So again, it's like, what am I bringing as I connect to them? And what I'm choosing in my life is love. I chose light. I'm choosing love, and I'm being love as much as possible. And what that means is like when somebody irritates me, I start to get judgmental of them, and it can slide into this place of almost like hatred. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute, come back. And I often do a ho'oponopono, the self-identity kind. Ho'oponopono is an ancient Hawaiian, I want to call it a technique, but really like this very advanced practice that is more than even just a practice. It's a way of making things right. Main version of this, which can take days and it involves, multiple people, but there's a self-identity form where you're basically asking forgiveness of the universe and everything around you for holding and believing these ideas in your head, that there is something wrong with that person, or to judge somebody harshly. So it's like, oh, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. And for me, that was like, oh, I was believing that that person is this or that. And I was getting caught up and I was putting out energy. And that's another thing I wanted to share is like, if you're an energy worker or you meditate a lot, you've activated some shit, and you got to watch what you're thinking, because we can feel it. Like, you get more powerful the more you do it. And it's no longer a matter of just a busy mind and I'm just thinking this, it's not a big deal. It's actually being sent to that person whenever we're thinking about somebody. And then if we start bringing emotion in, it's definitely going to them. And that's what healing is a lot of times. And that's what grid work is we're feeling it, we're dancing with it, and it's like we're sending energy back out. And this happens like super fast. And so with the Neteru, it's the same thing for me. Is like, I got to connect with them in a pure way. And really, that's the only way I can do this kind of work, is it's got to be in a pure way. When I was younger, I wanted to work in more darker ways, and not so much with magic, but just like being a man in the world. It's like, oh, this is what I need to do. I need to not feel anything. I need to just do something and say things and dominate. But that's not who I was. That's not who I am. My nervous system won't allow it. And thank God, because it's a path of destruction. It's a path of pain for ourselves and others, and that's not the path I'm on in this lifetime. And this lifetime, I'm a healer. Like, we all are healers, and I'm stepping into it more and more, and I'm owning it. So that's why I call myself a healer, and also a spirit guide, because I guide people to their spirit. So what comes through is these higher levels of perception, higher levels of consciousness, feelings of well-being, relaxation. It's kind of a floaty, weird feeling, which can be a little disorienting, but actually that's what happens when our mind slows down and we connect more with our heart, more with our energy. We're just not used to it. That's actually more normal than the busyness of the mind jumping from one thing to the other. People have reported alleviation from pain, like nerve pain all down the side of their leg. People have reported feeling like more confident, more self-assured, more of a sense of the agency in their life, like their locus of control, their internal ability to handle things and source it inside rather than outside was improved. Relationship shifts in a positive way. Connection with spirit guides, and also intensified dreams that brought revelations, insights. So these are all things that have been reported from doing sessions with people, the Sekhem sessions. So, it's interesting. I've felt my guides my whole life. And that's another thing I'd like to share, is that we all have spirit guides. We all have guides with us. They're always there rooting us on, cheering us on, and we have the ability to connect with them and ask for assistance. That's what these Sekhem healings are, is me connecting to my soul family, my star family, basically beings from the stars that bring this really powerful, original life force energy that can help shift consciousness and heal people. And like I said, it may not totally heal a person, but it'll help them be set on the path to the healing that they may need to do on their own with themselves. So this is a pretty long video. If you listened to the end, thank you. I appreciate you. You got to hear more of the weirdness. I saved the weird stuff for towards the end. And at the same time, it's not that weird. This was common knowledge in ancient times, and the ancient is returning. The old ways are returning because that's what's needed. That's what worked. That's what works. Even with, I heard about Joe Dispenza did a big event recently where they're measuring the changes that are happening, just like with the Wim Hof breathing. These scientists are able to measure the changes that happen within a person's body and their level of consciousness. And a lot of it is, tuning into the heart. And if you're interested in that, I offer a free mini course on my website that can help you tune into your heart, help you tune into what is true about you no matter what, and learn how to shift energy on your own. And we can't always shift it, but we can calm down and allow ourselves to navigate through it in the best possible way so as not to prolong it. And that's what that tool does. So I hope you all have an awesome day, and I'll catch you again soon. Aloha.